Origin of Judaism. Judaism is the world's oldest monotheistic religion, dating back nearly 4,000 years ago. Although it is hard to align all its texts with historical evidence, the best source for ancient biblical Jewish history is the Jewish Bible, with its famous narratives about Noah's Ark, the Exodus, and the rule of David and Solomon over Israel. According to it, Judaism is the expression of the covenant that God established with Abraham and his descendants through his grandson Jacob, who is also called Israel, which means the one who struggles with God. The people of Israel were selected to be a model nation and were promised the land of Israel by God, on the condition that they adhered to his laws, which were revealed to Moses on Mount Sinai and are recorded in the Torah, also known as the 5 books of Moses. The Nevi'im and Ketuvim, together with the Torah, form the 3 sections of the Hebrew Bible, also known as the Tanakh, which Christians refer to as the Old Testament. Historically, Canaanite kingdoms were polytheistic, with each kingdom worshipping its own national deity. In the kingdoms of Israel and Judah, this deity was Yahweh. When the Persians conquered Babylonia, they permitted the Jews to return to Judah, where they rebuilt the Second Temple and compiled much of the Hebrew Bible. Following Alexander the Great's conquest, Jewish religious practices began to merge with aspects of Greek culture, leading to the development of Hellenistic Judaism, which eventually spread to the newly founded city of Alexandria. Tensions gradually arose between the two cultures until traditional Jews briefly regained sovereignty in Jerusalem in 164 BCE. However, when Pompey of Rome conquered Jerusalem, it marked the end of Jewish sovereignty for the next 2,000 years, as the region became a Roman-client kingdom. The Romans suppressed the 2 major Jewish revolts, destroying the Second Temple in Jerusalem and exiling the Jewish population from Judea. They also renamed the region Syria-Palestina, after the Philistines, historic adversaries of the Jews who had originally come from Crete. At the same time, Christianity, which started as a Jewish movement, evolved into a separate religion, largely influenced by Paul. This shift occurred partly because Christian Jews did not support the Jewish revolts against Roman rule. Christianity, which welcomed both Romans and non-Jewish converts, became the official religion of the Roman Empire by the 4th century. In response to the absence of Jewish leadership, rabbinic ideology developed, as it did not rely on political sovereignty and sought to align the interests of both Jews and Romans. As Judaism became decentralized to Jewish migration to Galilee and other parts of the empire, the community thrived. Thousands of rabbis contributed their oral teachings, which were compiled into the Mishnah, forming the foundation of the Talmud. During medieval Jewish history, the Jewish diaspora expanded beyond the Middle East into North Africa and Europe, eventually forming 2 primary cultural groups, Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews. In medieval Christian Europe, Jews became prominent in 2 key areas: international trade, benefiting from their widespread diaspora connections, and money lending with interest, a profession prohibited in Christianity. After the emergence of Islam, Jews, who had faced persecution under the Byzantine Empire, found greater tolerance under the expanding Muslim Arab rulers, with whom they shared cultural similarities. During the Jewish Golden Age of culture in the Muslim-controlled Iberian Peninsula, which saw a relatively peaceful coexistence among Muslims, Christians, and Jews, prominent Jewish philosophers emerged, particularly between the 9th and 13th centuries. Over the centuries, periods of Jewish persecution swept across Europe like tidal waves, time and again, including the massacre of Jewish communities along the way of the Crusades expeditions to the Holy City. As they were considered a deicide people who killed Jesus, European medieval antisemitism derived from Christian theological views about Judaism. The scapegoating of the Jews as the cause of Black Death, the disease that killed half the European population in 5 years. Also, another example is when many Jews had to leave Spain for the more welcoming Ottoman Empire following the Reconquista, the expulsion of Arab Muslims by the Spanish Catholic kings. By the 17th century, half of the world's Jewish population resided in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, which had become a refuge for Jews fleeing Western Europe. However, during a Ukrainian uprising against Catholic Polish rule, Jews, who were perceived as oppressive leaseholders, suffered atrocities as part of the broader conflict. The Russian Empire, which then took over the region, saw mass anti-Jewish rioting, which led the Jews to emigrate to the U.S. and Western Europe, places where the Age of Enlightenment pushed towards Jewish emancipation, which is the granting of equal rights and the repeal of isolation and ghettoization of Jews. Jewish modernity is characterized by the end of a passive waiting for the Messiah as a moment of divine redemption and the beginning of an active pursuit of personal or national fulfillment. The ongoing instances of anti-Semitism prompted Herzl to establish the Zionist Movement, with the goal of creating a Jewish sovereign state in Palestine. World War I then brought about the fall of the Ottoman Empire, a British commitment to a Jewish homeland, and a reconfiguration of the Middle Eastern map. Then World War II claimed 6 million Jewish lives in the Holocaust genocide and was followed by the establishment of the State of Israel, which hosts today about 40% of the 14 million Jews of the world. Traditionally, a person is considered Jewish if their mother is Jewish and if their ancestry traces back to Abraham through his grandson Jacob, regardless of personal beliefs and faith. Judaism is thus more accurately described as a matter of ethnicity, ancestry, identity, and culture rather than merely a religion. Despite lacking territory, sovereignty, or military power for 1800 years after the Roman exile, the Jewish people survived and did not vanish like ancient Egypt or Rome. This endurance is likely due to their exceptional adaptability and significant contributions to human civilization, including their influence on Christianity and Islam. Please like and subscribe to our channel.